Good morning, everyone. Hi, welcome back to the Self-Love Show. I am your co-host, Dawn Light, and I have my beautiful friend here, Scott Katamas, with me today. Trish is going to be out. She is taking care of a really beautiful family commitment today, so it's going to be us doing the show. We have an amazing guest. Beautiful Shawnrey is with us, and I'm going to read her bio in a sec. And I just want to say thank you to our viewers that tune in weekly. We are so grateful for you. And for our new viewers, welcome. And also for those that don't know, just in case you don't know, we have a YouTube channel. We would love for you to go check it out, like, share, and subscribe because we have tons of amazing shows, just great information, broadcasting self-love, right? In every way. There's so many topics. And we just want to plant that seed, because I know we all have loved ones in our life that could benefit from more self-love. So just wanted to plant that seed. And without further ado, I will read beautiful Shawnrey's bio. So welcome, Shawnrey, to the show. So excited to have you.
Thank you. Hi.
Yeah. So Embodying Shameless Self-Love with Shawnrey Notto. It has never been more important to connect to our bodies and pleasure. Shameless Self-Love Expression is an interactive embodiment workshop that helps you increase and tap into your sensual intelligence. Isn't that great? Love that. So sensual intelligence is the artful knowing of embodied feeling and being. We will reclaim and embody the wisdom of our primal bodies, which get shamed into the shadows. So using movement, sounds, and embodiment play. Tap into and listen to the body's wisdom. Connect to pleasure as medicine and nourishment. Explore embodied self-love and expression at a physical, emotional, and community level. In the workshop, we will create a container to recalibrate our mind, body, heart connections. Harness and reclaim the wisdom of our sensual intelligence so we can feel what it is like to move shamelessly, lovingly, and fully expressed. Shawnrey is the sensual intelligence and embodiment guide, teaching and inspiring people to embody their joy, pleasure, and self-love. Yes! She is the author of the soon-to-be published book on sensual intelligence, The Lost IQ, where she leads us through the journey of discovering our sensual intelligence type. She blends 15 plus years of dance and performance art, erotic poetry, sensual intimacy coaching, mindfulness, and nude live art modeling to connect mind, body, and spirit and pleasure. It is time to heal cycles of shame and suppression so that we can find the joy we've always desired. So she believes that we can change the world starting with our relationships with our bodies. Thank you so much, Shawnrey. That's such a beautiful bio and introduction to yourself. Without further ado, welcome.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah.
This is really cool because as the older person here, obviously I grew up where it was all about IQ. Your intelligence quotient was very important. 20 years ago, I went to see a man named Daniel Goleman, and he had just written the book on emotional intelligence. And I happened to meet him very early on. His book had just come out, and now I teach emotional intelligence. And I feel like I'm having like this third wave. It's like, okay, next generation, you is bringing in, we had IQ, we had EQ, and now you're bringing in SQ. That is really cool. So tell us about what is sensual intelligence.
Yeah. So sensual intelligence. I mean, I love that you talked about that because it's something I feel it is a part of our evolution as, as individuals and also as societies. And so sensual intelligence is essentially I call it it's the artful embodied knowledge of feeling and being. And the reason why I mean artful, because it's expressive, it's creative, it is our ability to creatively interact with the world and ourselves. And then an artful knowledge. Knowledge is it is information, it is the knowing, it is deep connection, deep integration. And so sensual intelligence being the embodied and artful knowledge of feeling, our feelings, our emotions, and being, as physical beings in the world.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting because we did always think a while back that IQ was the big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's been discovered that emotional intelligence is far more important than IQ for being
Mm-hmm.
successful personally and professionally.
Yeah.
And how does sensual intelligence now take us to the next step? And
Yeah.
tell
Yeah. So, so sensual intelligence, I mean, for me, when I talk about emotional intelligence, emotional and sensual intelligence very, very connected because sensual intelligence is essentially our recognition of our bodies as things or as something that we interact with, something that we are constantly presenting and being in the world. And
Mhm.
so it is including the senses, pleasure, and how we are in relationship with our own bodies and relationship with other bodies and relationship like in the environment. So like the body of all the bodies. So the body of ourselves, the body of others, the body of our planet.
beautiful.
Hmm.
Powerful. It sounds like a weaving of, I love that you're bringing forward emotional intelligence, Scott, but it's like through the senses of connecting to our body is actually embodying the sensuality in our intelligence, right? And connecting the dots between, emotional intelligence and sensuality. Like they fit together.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Like for me, the components that I put as a part of sensual intelligence include um, embodiment, which
Mhm,
is our connection to our body, self-love,
mhm.
which includes self-intimacy, self-acceptance, and self-integration, which are components of emotional intelligence. It's because without you can just be a body, but without that love, without that acknowledgement, without that these like a sensual component of emotional intelligence, then it's hard um, to actually be an embodied creature that is that's integrated and that is self-reflected and that is loving. So embodiment, self-love, mindfulness, and and in community. So it's not just about just like, oh, here's my body and I'm feeling good. It's actually we aren't islands. We're always interacting with each other, and our connection to our bodies, our love, etc., influence and impacts other people's experiences of us and other people's experiences of themselves.
It's beautiful. You know, I'm imagining the majority of the people who watch the show are women. But I want to say, as a man, we need to be trained to be sensual with ourselves. I think the masculine thought form, and obviously I'm speaking in generalities, but sensuality is either with someone else or watching. Like we can watch women be sensual by themselves. We can be sensual with others, but we, as men, aren't trained to be sensual with ourselves, which of course is an act of self-love.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for me, like when I love that you said that because for me, like it is the individual journey is that, is the self-love, is the being in your body, is the mindfulness. But then you have to have the community component in there because, why else are we being unless we are, we're being in relationship with ourselves and being in relationship with others. And so, but I really feel that to be in relationship with others, to truly be able to bring ourselves forward, we have to have a healthy, integrated relationship with self.
Mhm.
Some people can get stuck in just this part, and then have to bring themselves out to community. But like you said, Scott, some people don't even have the tools or the invitation and permission to have a connection with this right here, with this right here, so that when they go out into community, it can, there's lost opportunity for to put it shortly.
Yes, I love that you brought forward the information about able to heal shame through this practice
Hmm.
because I find that really when people have, a disconnect from their body and their own sensuality, they lack that ability to be able to have a deep intimacy with others because there could be shame that's, unhealed places that have from things that have happened. And so this is such a beautiful thing that you're really bringing forward around an ability to heal these places. And I know as women, this is our journey as a woman. We have these things that occur in our life. At least I can speak for myself. I have had these things where I've had to work through shame pieces in my past, in my younger years, and being sensual with myself and really connecting deeply, because I've also been a performing artist and movement artist for many years in my life. And even I did art modeling too a little bit. And so I was like, oh, this is great. We have a connection there. But I can honestly say it did help me heal shame. I can really say when I gave myself permission to show up authentically as my body was right there in that moment, regardless of what was going on in my outer circumstances, and just to be able to be okay with it and have acceptance in front of another person even was really, it gave that other person permission to do the same for themselves, witnessing me doing it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. The power of the witness is integral. I mean, for me, like all this started because when I was 16, I took a dance class, and it was after a mentor of mine had molested me. And so at this time, I had all these stories in my mind about I was dirty, I was worthless, I was scared, I was confused, I was lonely, I didn't know how to speak. I had so much shame happen. And what I ended up doing was taking this dance class, and this dance class we were allowed to create a solo of anything that we wanted to do. And I ended up creating this solo that was an expression of all the things that I didn't know how to say, that I didn't know what to do with. So all the rage and the confusion and the pain and the tears, etc. And it was for myself, but having witnesses there as well, and just having people just be there and just see and just hold space, that added another layer to the healing. Now I think that having an embodiment practice and coming and connecting with yourself, having a relationship with yourself, absolutely imperative. And there's something else that happens when we are witnessed, because we are witnessed in our humanity, in our process, in our, it becomes a shared experience, and an acknowledgement of, I am here, you see me, I am here. And that's so, it's so important.
Yes. In that space where you're being seen as I am here, you're actually able to tune deeper into yourself and have a deeper level of acceptance for what you're embodying in the moment and what you're letting go of. And it's such a deep integration of that. It's like, I've had this visceral experience. So it lights me up because I know what you're talking about. Yeah. It's such good work. Like, it's powerful to come home to self in these ways of giving your body permission to thrive, to move, to feel connected to yourself. And such great gift. Thank you.
I'm kind of periodically checking questions and comments, and I want to welcome Ken Brown. He's a friend of mine. And Ken asks a really beautiful question. How do you get rid of shame?
Yeah.
And certainly as it relates, especially to using, I guess I'll add, how do we use sensual intelligence to heal our shame story?
Yeah. So for me, the process of healing, using self-love and embodiment to heal our shame stories. The first step is the self-intimacy. So when I talked about self-love being self-intimacy, self-acceptance, and self-integration, that self-intimacy is, see, shame loves to live in the shadows. Shame lives in everything that is hidden. That's where it thrives. And so whatever, like taking whatever the thing is that brings us shame and just bringing it to the forefront, looking at it, feeling how it, when we think about it, where does it show up in our bodies? You know, what parts of us get tight? What parts of us do we hide? What parts of us come forward in order, you know, in order to hide the thing? And so first is like, you know, bringing it forward and then feeling it in the body. And then next for me, the embodiment piece is, it a lot of times, because we're hiding it, it'll shift our body in a certain way. It'll also shift how we speak and talk. And so what I invite people to do is to, you know, actually like voice it, say it, put it out to the world, even put it out into, you know, have your own vibrating body, to create within ourselves our, you know, our own vibration, our own frequency, our own owning of our own voice. And so after that, it's just like, it's a matter of using our voice and body to allow whatever the message or the thing that was hidden by the shame to come through. And then after that, just being with it, just sitting with it. And what's funny is that we never know exactly what noise is going to come out, how the body is going to move. But when we give ourselves permission to just be in more of like this primal, free, you know, there's no thinking involved in it. It's just like allowing the body to be, to express, and then just sitting and being with it. That is part of the process of using self-love and embodiment to heal shame. Yeah.
I often say that shame is the great human epidemic, you know, and almost all of us have body shame,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because we're taught these ridiculous images of what's supposed to be beautiful, which is, I mean, there's just so much body shame in our culture.
Mm-hmm.
And so again, sensual intelligence, are there baby steps that you suggest to people who, you know, are disconnected from their bodies, who, you know, have body shame or feel that even touching themselves, and not just touching genitals, but touching themselves is somehow wrong or just not done?
Yeah, absolutely.
Or just praising themselves even when they get out of the shower and like, acknowledging their body in the state it is, instead of
Mm-hmm.
or wanting it to be any different. Just like, wow, look at my amazing body right here
Yeah.
today, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, and acknowledging your eyes and acknowledging the presence in your temple body, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
that's self embodiment and love. Even though you might
Mm-hmm.
want to change that little belly pooch that we get as women, right? Like I
Mm-hmm.
have it, but
Mm-hmm.
there's a level of like, I can still love this part of myself.
Yeah, yeah. And what I like to do is to take it. So sometimes just the acknowledgement is first, because some, you know, to like, you know, jump, be like, okay, I love this part. People, that's not, I mean, if really right now you're just not in that place of love, that's not, you can't force yourself to be there.
Yes.
And so that's where the sensuality comes. Sensuality is sensing. It is being with the senses. So sensual intelligence, the first step really is let's say whatever the thing is that you're having, that's shame, let's say like the body shame, just go through each of your five senses and just be with that part of you. Just be with it. And so let's say it's the belly pooch, then, you know, sight is, you know, just allow yourself to look at it like you are, you know, to just open your aperture of like just seeing let's say like you seeing the round, seeing the curves, or seeing the hair, and seeing the, you know, whatever. And then like, let's say hearing, like this, even hearing, like, you know, let's say you touch, or when you're walking or whatever, just actually just allow yourself to listen to how your body moves. And then the same goes with smell, like, you know, just smell yourself, or and then, you know, with each of the senses, taste yourself, and just be with the sensual experience of you, without the, you know, without, you don't need the judgment yet, but just be in the awareness, be in the being of it. And that's like, for me, the first step is just, it's sensual. You are sensual no matter what. We're always sensing. And so it's bringing an awareness to, to our senses, slowing down, and instead of just like looking and smelling or whatever to cognize and to recognize, but looking, sensing, touching, tasting, to be present with, ourselves. And then you're present, and then you could start. You can't create a relationship with something that you are not first aware of and present with.
So along those lines, and by the way, I love the way you think and speak and express yourself. It's really thank you, Shawnrey. How do we manage those gremlins that when we are, okay, I heard Dawn when I get out of the shower, and the gremlins like, that's bullshit. You look or whatever, right? How do we manage those gremlins? And again, using sensual intelligence to manage those little gremlin thoughts that poke at us.
Yeah.
Great question.
Yeah, that's a beautiful question. Thank you. One thing that's really, I find really beautiful is the gremlins often have their origins in, in childhood stuff. And so they're actually like little child voices that are just like, I'm not this and I'm not that. And it's like, and one thing, let's say it's about the belly pooch. Let's say it's about the hair. I'm going to start with the hand. I hate my hand, and I'm, you're trying to tell me that, you're trying to tell me to like myself. You're trying to tell me to look at me, and I don't want to do that. And it's like, how do you handle that gremlin is, I literally teach and also do just, I'm so sorry that you feel that way. And like literally speaking to it, touching it. I'm so sorry that you feel this way. I hear you. I am with you. And you're important. And like, for me, like it's such a vulnerable place to, to be in for ourselves. I know the first time that this happened for me, I was in the shower, and I was just, I didn't know that I was talking so much shit about myself until I literally out loud said, "Stop being so mean to me."
Wow.
And it was literally like, I mean, I literally looked around because I was like, where did that voice come from? But it was from me. It was from, child Shawnrey, just like being doused with all of this ugly, horrible self-talk. And and she just couldn't take it anymore. It's just like, stop being so mean to me. And for me, like, when we hear the gremlins, there's a way of like actually even being compassionate towards that part of ourselves, that that is hurting, that is trying to protect. And just, there is a part of us that is here that knows that we can say, I'm so sorry that you feel that way. I'm here. I have you. And, and then, to create a kind of bring some nurturance there, and then see what happens.
Wow.
That's beautiful.
Oh, I was just going to say, like, it's really, you're speaking my language, because I do this in my own coaching work with people, is really, it's about giving it a voice. So you're giving that wounded self or that child perspective, right? Because it is all rooted in, we get imprinted in certain ways from our curriculum and things that happen, teachers, parents, environment. Yeah. And that imprints us, right? And so then we carry that imprint, and it becomes the wounded perspective or the wounded self. And then it shows up inside of us as shame when things, it draws and attracts things to us to happen to us, even bury it even further until we bring it forward into the light. And so what you're saying is you're giving it a voice through touch, which is really awesome. Like, that's such a new perspective versus just actually sitting and feeling and voicing what it is.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's adding the touch.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's adding. Yeah. For me, it's like adding, like, once again, through going through all the senses, because honestly, our life experiences there, maybe the sense of smell is the more prevalent one. And so
Mhm.
even like, even allowing that sense to come forward, or the sense of sound. Maybe it was like a sound that you made, and then like actually like, vibrating it. Let's, because I've had people who are like, I have shame around how I smell.
Mm.
And then, like, it's doing all these different things, like fix it, and then like, I'm like literally like, you know what, let's just and just be with it, and like, be with it, and just say, I see, I see you, I smell you, I'm here with you. And I'm here with you. And there is that acceptance of self, and and however we show up is it's grace.
Mhm.
I'm really hearing the beauty that you both are speaking of accessing what I would call kind of our wise, centered self, or our loving parental self, to talk to our inner child self, and to make it safe to have that conversation between kind of our most expanded, loving, compassionate side of ourself and the little scared or hurt part of us that's really just wanting to be loved and accepted.
Mm.
And it's beautiful that you're both really supporting us representing people watching
Mhm.
that conversation. It's not only okay, it's so important.
I find it so important to really do this deeper work, right? And uncover where we have shame. And it's beautiful that you're doing this, Shawnrey, in this way, because I find that until we do that, until we touch into those places, it just blocks us from feeling fully authentic, expressed in our authenticity. And I can honestly say that for myself, where I had shame and big pieces. Like I had a huge piece around, and I didn't even to connect the dots. I got to see the whole pattern after it came to the light. But I'm going to share something really profound. I had this huge piece come forward around always feeling like I'm dirty as a young one. But what I got punished severely every time I went outside and played in the dirt as a little girl. Like there was this perspective that it was okay for my brother to get crazy dirty, but for me as a girl, I couldn't. And it programmed my consciousness to believe that I was dirty, right? And it showed up in my physical body, like when I would want to dress a certain way or express myself in a certain way, I actually carried shame or believed that I was doing something wrong deep down inside, even though I never shared that. But it was like this incongruence that was showing up inside of me. And when I was in a really beautiful program that was helping me really dive deep and uncover all my childhood issues and really bring them to light, I sobbed so deeply when this piece came forward. It was so old and so young inside of me, but it had really kept me from owning my authenticity really fully and being okay with like all the parts of myself in the way I express, like the performer side, the dancer side, the fully like sensual side of myself. It was all able to blend it all together and make it all whole again when I really let go of the shame of believing I was dirty.
Yeah.
And that it was really like blending the young self with the adult self in a way that was just like giving me full permission to be here now, and like all parts are safe, all parts are whole, all parts are integrated.
Yeah.
So just to give our viewers a little bit of an explanation of like what it can feel and be like to heal an aspect that is so old and covered in shame, because up until then, it's like my mind wanted to believe that it was fragmented. I could show up this way and it would be okay, but not in this way, right? It blocked me from being just fully authentic and being able to own my voice even around aspects of my life.
Yeah. And for me, like when I think about that, I mean, it's like you just said, like shame literally blocks us from ourselves.
Mhm.
And then, then we create stories, we create relationships, around these blocked parts of ourselves. And like, so our level of intimacy, our level of love, can only be as deep as, as the journey that we've gone with ourselves and our healing and
Mhm.
and healing our shame. And so, yeah, you're gonna say something, Scott?
She said it's a lifelong process.
Yeah,
And I truly believe the meaning of life is we're here to learn to love ourselves.
yeah,
That's why this show is so important. I love this show. I love to get to be co-host on it because I watch this show, and it's so important because that's it. We're here to learn to love ourselves, and
mhm,
you're bringing in such an incredibly important part of it to not only accept our bodies and accept our sensuality, but to actually develop our sensual intelligence. It's like, it really is next level. It's like, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, giving permission, to really be fully expressed in that way and allowing your sensual intelligence to guide the way, right? That
mhm,
it's
mhm.
fully expressed and allowed, and
Yeah.
that's so yummy in every way.
Yeah, it's so, I mean, it's so fun. Because for
You're
me, like
joy-
when yeah, it's about yeah, whenever we reclaiming our bodies and reclaiming our relationship, it it creates a sense of joy. I mean, it's I love whenever I'm like, teaching a class, and someone like literally is like discovers like, oh, I'm so soft. I'm like, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's so amazing how, how because of the shaming and programming and socialization, etc., how much we shut ourselves down to the gift of who we are, the gift that we can just, the comfort that we can give ourselves, the wonder that that our bodies are. And so that when someone finally is like, oh my gosh, I actually like this. This is something that, everyone else, society says it should look and be like this, but I'm actually feeling it. Like literally, people won't even like allow themselves to feel themselves to see, like, do you actually like it? Maybe you actually do. Like maybe like, and so being able to, like sensuality is to creating a visceral experience of self, but creating a visceral experience and seeing if like what is true, what is actually true for you, rather than the ideas that that get put that get put out there. And so when we grab onto the idea of what something good is, it's like, well, that's out there. What's true? What's true for you?
So you mentioned when you teach this in a class. Tell us a little bit about that. Do you do online classes, in-person classes, and what takes place in one of your classes?
Oh, did we lose you?
She does look frozen to me. Um, well, hopefully she'll be back shortly. And
Yes.
welcome Subhash, who says, love, only love, pleasure. And Subhash is a friend who definitely preaches and teaches love.
Oh, I love our viewers so much. Thank you for tuning in weekly. It's really so exciting to nurture self-love in all the ways we do with the show. And thank you, Scott, for being present with us today. Oh,
Wow.
so her internet is out for a sec. She'll be back.
So what are some of the things, because this dovetails so much into your work, Dawn. So maybe, while we wait for her to come back,
Yeah.
how does this dovetail and work? Because you are such a beautiful coach of self-love.
Thank
So
you so much.
yeah. So I'm going to go into interviewing you for a minute.
Okay, perfect.
How do you incorporate people learning to love their bodies and to love themselves sensually with self-love?
Great question. I do a lot of this work where it's like we discover what's really going on with the younger self and give voice to all those parts. And so, depending on the woman's curriculum that I work with, I'll give her specific exercises and like specific tools to work with, depending on her story, her journey. So it's such an intuitive thing. But you know, like I have had one client that I like, that's why I was mentioning the shower thing, because she had a level of not being able to show up for herself and being able to even look at her body. And so I was like, well, this is not healthy for you to have this mindset towards yourself. It's like, it's not self-loving. So what if you got out of the shower and just learned to praise your body, you know, and look yourself in the eyes, and regardless if it's not the way you want it to be, but give voice and acknowledgement. Yes, you can give voice to all the parts that feel unhappy, unmet, whatever it may be. But then when you're actually physically with your body, give it a chance to give yourself self-praise, because self-praise actually gets in there and rewrites the journey and the story of shame. It's what do we need to say to ourselves that we never heard? We never heard our parents say, we never heard our teachers say. We always wanted to hear it said. What was that we needed to hear? That will really go into those deep crevices inside of our psyche that we always long to hear, like, you're amazing. Mm-hmm. You know, you're beautiful just as you are, right?
Thank you. Thank you for that. Yeah. And it is reprogramming. You know, we've got these grooves in the brain, and we have grooves in the brain that repeat over and over and over unhealthy self-talk. Mm-hmm. So what I'm really hearing you is, okay, consciously reprogram those grooves in the brain. And I'm a big believer in I am affirmations, because I am is really the original sound of creation. Exactly. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah. It's very powerful, stating it in the now present, like claiming it for yourself.
Yeah.
So I agree with you 100%. Like, just depends on someone's relationship with affirmations. If they feel they work for them, then I'll support them in doing that. I have a practice that I give women around cultivating their, you know, ideal scene, and I even help them cultivate their own hand personalized affirmation that really works for the qualities they're wanting to embody. That's a piece of the work too. And I find that that's so important, because you have to discern, like, okay, well, what do I see as amazing in that other person, right? And what are the qualities they hold? Well, I want to embody that. So then you learn to, like, stop projecting it on the other person and really claim it for yourself.
That is so wise, Dawn. And one of the things that when I coach people, they go, oh my God, I'm married and yet I've got this sexual attraction. Well, what are the qualities or the virtues you imagine that person you're attracted to has? Because that's actually what you're attracted to. You're not attracted to the human being because you don't know the human being yet. You're attracted to what you imagine the qualities or virtues are. It looks like Shawnrey might be back.
Hello, I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you. Just can't see you. Are you there? Thank you, viewers. We're having some technical difficulty, but I think we're working through it.
Hopefully, Shawnrey will be back with us shortly. And certainly, I want to encourage anybody popping any thoughts, comments, questions. It's such a dynamic and important conversation. And Dawn and I will be periodically checking the different pages to see if there are thoughts or questions coming in.
Yeah, if you have anything, please do pop it in the chat.
Margaret just wrote, for me, to remain in authenticity, when I can't embody a thought, I use, quote, I'm in the process of. So that's good. That's good. It's like, if you can't, ideally we want to fully claim I am empowered, let's say.
Right.
But if you're being honest, I'm not there yet. It could be, I'm in the process of becoming empowered. Beautiful.
Yes. Yes, it's so true. Because it's really about, we have to believe it in our psyche. That's the thing. It's like, okay, so the conscious mind is like the masculine side of ourself, and we plant the seed in the divine feminine side of ourself, which is the unconscious. And that's how we get things to really marry and really birth into our life in the physical realm, is when they match. When the unconscious and the conscious mind match, then it becomes a reality for ourselves. And so it's really rewriting the deeper stories, which are just the grooves in your brain, the synapses that have always fired in that way, right? Because you've been believing that story or that journey because you've been imprinted in your curriculum from, a teacher, or like, I'll just use my dad as an example. He used to say the worst things to me, and I believed it as a young one. But then as an adult, I had to go on the journey of rewriting the negative things that were said to me. And actually, I was like, wow, I'm actually none of those things, and it was really about himself, and so when we have judgments, harsh judgments come at us, and we're so young in our psyche, we don't know where we just let it in because we don't realize that it's not about us, it's about them.
But boy, that's a lifelong lesson.
It is a lifelong lesson, yes. And that's why I'm so passionate about sharing and teaching these things to help others become fully expressed, fully authentic, fully embodied in themselves, because it's just blocking ourselves from really being fully alive and thriving and happy. And why not go for it? Like, you're living, you're alive. Make the most of this sacred opportunity and get fully expressed.
Yes, thank you. Margaret added, and I love it, so I'm going to practice it.
Loving.
I am in the process of loving my body. I'm in the process of loving my stomach. I'm working on learning to love my stomach. I got to more than I had before.
Me too. It's always been a part of my body that I've had a little issue with, and I just am really working on fully just what? It's beautiful. I'm beautiful just as I am. Yeah.
Like, obviously I can see how beautiful you are just as you are, right? We can see other people's beauty as they are. If only it would be that easy to see our own beauty. Most of us are so much more self-critical than critical of others. Yeah.
Yes. And that's the thing. It's like learning to see yourself through the eyes the way God sees you.
That's a great practice, right? Pick whatever your favorite archetypal figure is. God, Jesus, Mary. How would Bugs Bunny see me? Pick whatever your archetypal image is. How would this person that I have a loving consciousness or imagining of, how would Yogananda see me? Right? Mm-hmm. That's a great practice, Dawn. That's great.
Yeah. And it's just learning to flood that part of your consciousness with love, and even if you have a part of yourself where you have a hard time accepting, say your stomach or your wrist, it just learning to flood your body with love and give it love, even if you're not in a place of fully accepting it yet. But what if I could just touch this part of my body and honor it and give it praise and say, thank you for digesting my food daily.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Right.
Thanks for our tummy, not just seeing our tummy because it's bigger than we want it to be. My God, every day my tummy is serving me so well. And it's suggesting stuff that I set it down. The tummy's going, what are you setting this down for? This isn't good for me. But all right, I'll digest it for you. Right.
Right.
All right, we have another attempt here for Shawnrey to come join. There she is.
There she is.
Well, there's the image.
Welcome back. Ryan, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. So my internet server went down.
You're amazing. Making it happen.
Oops.
I'm guessing. So you're using your phone?
I'm using my phone, but it's not. I don't think that it's going to be enough.
You know what? I'm wondering, what would it be like for you just to put your visual image up, turn your camera off so that your full juice is going into your audio, so we can at least hear what you have to say.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Like Xfinity, I got a message that I have Xfinity Wi-Fi and the system's down, so that unfortunately happened right now.
Dawn, do you want to maybe show, while she gets that together, show like her website or how people get more information?
Yes. Why don't you share a little bit about how you, while I'm doing that, guide others in your practice and process too, because I know that you're really powerfully holding space for emotional intelligence. So it sounds like you're doing this inner work as well with your clients.
All the time.
Yeah.
And it's always wonderful hearing like you and Shawnrey or Trish share how you do similar work. And like, oh, that's a great way to do it. Oh, that's the wording you use. The languaging I use is, right? So I think the most important thing is just that it's a practice. You know, it's not like, okay, I'm healthy now. I had a salad last week. You know,
Right.
I went to the gym last year once. No, it's a practice. And since this is the self-love show,
It's the consistency.
it's a consistent practice, you know, of noticing those gremlin thoughts. And as Shawnrey pointed out, most of the time those gremlin thoughts are childhood wounding. The other thing it often can be is an authority figure stuck in our brain, you know.
Yes.
I worked with a couple, and she was a very attractive woman. And their issue was that whenever he would tell her how beautiful she was, she'd push it away. She'd say, "Oh, you're just saying that because you're my boyfriend. I know I'm ugly." And she really had this thing about it. And so I did a little hypnotherapy work with her. When were you first told that you were ugly?
Mhm.
And she went back and she had a memory. She hadn't consciously remembered for a long time of being on the playground. And her memory was she's around 6 or 7 years old. And there was this freckle-faced boy who was maybe 2 years older.
Mhm.
As he was older, he was an authority figure. And he's going, "You're ugly. Do you know how ugly you are?"
Wow.
She couldn't remember his name, but she could see his face. And that little bugger, because he was the first older boy authority figure that gave her a reflection of what she looks like. And he was so adamant with, "You're ugly." Here she was 30 years later, still believing she was ugly.
Wow.
Isn't that something?
It's so true. That's how our psychology works, though. We're imprinted in certain ways,
Mhm.
and it's a match, interestingly enough, to our soul's curriculum or our spiritual lessons we've chosen as a soul to come in and learn through these things. So we set ourselves up before we even arrive with like, okay, I'm going to learn through these kind of lessons as a soul. I'm entering Earth School to learn these things, and I can honestly say for my curriculum, it was all about learning to trust regardless of what the outside circumstances, trust myself, trust my inner voice, trust the God within, right? Regardless of how it's showing up on the outside, because I also had that harsh parental authoritarian, how do you say that word?
Authoritarian.
Yes, parent who was just, super harsh and demeaning. And I took that in
Mhm.
and it blocked me for a very long time. And interestingly enough, now that I've broken through all of that and, laid it to rest finally and made peace with it all, I help others do the same.
Yeah. Does it ever come back? Like, do you find yourself having unconscious moments now that you're older and that you have a child? Do you find yourself sometimes having unconscious moments where that authoritative parental imprint
Mhm.
is still in there as a gremlin poking at you, or you find yourself almost reacting to your own son in that way?
It's much better, honestly, and this is why, through my own journey of being a conscious entrepreneur, you go on this journey of it's self-improvement constantly. And so, graduate school was that gift that I gave to myself, and it has healed such deep places where I used to get really triggered by my son and my husband, and now I don't. It's so much better. It's like I see it going on, but I don't have that trigger response any longer in the way I feel it. And I even have a little voice inside my head that says, this is where I used to show up differently.
Right.
And that's the healed self stepping forward, showing me, see how his response or he'll get down on himself. My son will get down on himself and have negative self-talk sometimes, and I have to really work with him and remind him, no, that's not true. That's a story you're telling yourself. And this is the difference in my parenting versus my parents' parenting, right? That's the healed self coming through, reminding him, like, but this is his curriculum. He's born into a relationship in our dynamic that he's coming forward with this stuff, but I'm getting to catch it and say no, and like really give him the love and the nurturing and show him, like, I care deeply, and I'm here in the loving with you, and I can hold in the loving with you, even if you're having this not so healthy thought process right now. And just give him the space to process it too, and that it doesn't have to change right now. It is what it is, and we're accepting of it, and it's just not a truth about yourself.
Dawn, that's beautiful. And thank you, because not only are you providing a loving experience for your son, but you're healing your family ancestry.
Yes.
I really believe that's a big part of our job in life, is to say, okay, this family pattern of abusing children or alcoholism or whatever it may be stops with me.
Yeah.
And you've done the work to stop that and to heal it. So that's a life well loved, a life well lived.
Yes, I can honestly say on a soul line, it's like soul line accomplishment, like check. I will leave this earth knowing that I did that.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's my commitment. And even in my relationship with my father, like I was committed. I never closed the door on him, even though he was horrible. God bless you, Dad. Now we have a good relationship. He's crossed over, and I can feel him loving me and supporting me and helping me. So I'm really grateful that we have that. Like I was open to like creating a relationship that I always wanted in his death. I was like, great, this means now we can actually commune and have a conversation. And even in his dying days, I was still so compassionate and loving. And I knew I was healed when I showed up bedside and he was literally on his last of his life. And I didn't have anything that I needed to say to like work it out. I didn't feel I just felt an immense amount of pure compassion for his journey, how he never felt expressed, that he had to have a tracheotomy and couldn't talk in the end. And that was where, because he was so harsh in his voice all those years that it was like taken away from him in the end of his life in a way.
Wow.
And I found that I just had nothing but pure compassion. And I felt the awe over how healed. I was just in pure awe. I was just like just celebrating how amazing spirit is, and how when you're dedicated to healing yourself, no matter what happens, if you just stay dedicated, even if it's not showing up on the outside yet, if you just stay dedicated, baby step your way there, it will happen, and you will heal your curriculum, and you will finally lay it down, and your life will change, like drastically change on the outside.
I just want to, for anybody listening, notice it can happen at any age, even at any time in our life, no matter. We're never past the opportunity to heal. We're never past the opportunity to learn those lessons of love.
Yes, it's true.
As you know, I have had the good fortune, because I've produced a lot of television shows, to have access to amazing psychics. And in fact, on one of my shows many, many years ago, I was the wrangler that chose psychics. I chose who was on and who wasn't. And probably the best psychic that I know, who's really good. I brought a friend who was really struggling. She had a horrific grandfather that was like the worst of the worst of the worst of the worst. And the grandfather had committed suicide and blamed it on her mother, and it was a whole big thing. And I brought my friend to see this really wonderful psychic, and the psychic said, here's the interesting thing. Your grandfather is now your guardian angel. Please know that when we die, our personality and all the baggage and the ego and all that stuff dies with the body. And once he got back, he had to go through some healing work. But once he, on a soul level, he so wants to contribute to the family that he damaged, that he has now taken on being your guardian angel. And I just think that's such an incredibly beautiful reframe, that when we've had a difficult ancestor and that ancestor has passed, to imagine them as a guardian angel and not to hold them in the prison of the confused human being that they were.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's beautiful. What an
Yeah.
amazing thing you got to do that. That's really awesome.
Yeah, well, you can see it's helped me to have a more expanded view, right?
Yes.
And, I mean, since we're on it for briefly, when, my wife passed away, and the clearest communication I had with her was about 9 months after she passed. And what she said is, please differentiate between your memory of my personality and what I am now.
Wow.
Because
Wow.
now I'm a field of energy.
Wow.
You can enjoy those memories, but that's not who I am. I'm a field of energy.
Amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So
That's really profound.
I've been working with her since she died. What's that mean to be a field of energy? What's that really mean? What is that? So yeah, it's been a big part of my journey, part of my wanting to understand that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, well, we're all sharing in the loving, right? The field of energy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really see like God as that. Like there is no separation, I really do believe we're all sharing in it. There is no separation, even though the table seems different than my leg, right? Right here, it's not. We're all the same, sharing in this giant, beautiful, loving container of just pure love and light.
And what's wonderful is we're living in a time where our quantum physicists have scientifically proven what you just said.
Yes.
Like the great spiritual teachers forever have always said there's only oneness.
Yes.
It's like, no, what do you mean? There's the lamp, and there's Dawn, and there's Scott. But in the unified field and understanding that, there's actually just this sea of ever-changing molecules that are fully connected as part of the unified field. And the molecules assemble and look like Scott, look like Dawn, look like the lamp, look like the glass of water, But it's just an ever-changing sea of molecules. When we had Deepak Chopra on our show, he pointed out that if the average person lives to be between 90 and 100 years old, they will have shared approximately 10,000 molecules with every other being who ever lived.
Wow, that's incredible.
Isn't that cool? Isn't that cool?
That's
so
awesome.
you'll, in your lifetime, have shared molecules with Jesus, with Hitler, with Cleopatra, and of course, the gazillion people whose names we don't know.
Wow. Wow, 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 wow.
That's how connected we are.
Yes.
Connected we are.
Yeah. And why I feel so passionate about emotional intelligence also, I share in the same passion with you in that way, is it's really helping others communicate at a really deeper level with our loved ones and not have that spiritual rift that can happen when we're triggered, right? And like stay in the loving. And that way we don't have to separate from the field or feel separate, because it's just an illusion to believe we're separate. But it's really the fabric of communication is emotional intelligence. So I really love that we both share in this journey together and are deeply in love with supporting others and understanding that language.
A wonderful practice for what Dawn just suggested is when we are angry with somebody or judging somebody or not understanding why would you do that, a wonderful practice is there's God fully experiencing itself as Donald Trump. Or you can take it a step further and say, there I am fully experiencing myself as Joe Biden or Kamala Harris or Donald Trump or my uncle or my ex-wife or whoever we have a trigger around.
Mm-hmm.
I am experiencing myself as that person. And it's a really fun practice to help us practice experiencing the oneness of all. Mm-hmm. To start eliminating and dissolving the separation, the illusion of separation.
Yes. Yes.
So Dawn, since it turned into a little, and thank you, by the way, Antonio and Margaret,
Yes.
Wonderful messages and quotes. Margaret quoting Byron Katie.
Oh, yes. Margaret's quoting Byron Katie. There she is.
Well, there she is quoting my wife. So thank you for that, Margaret.
There's Byron Katie.
There's Byron Katie. Yeah, remembering, like, is the story true? Like you were talking about when you're supporting your son, when he's telling himself a story, is the story true?
Mm-hmm.
So Dawn, how do people get more Dawn Light? Are you doing private coaching? Do you have classes happening or coming up?
I am. I'm about to launch a really amazing, I'll let the cat out of the bag a little bit. I'm about to have a Sovereign Queen 4-day activation coming up in January. So I'll soon on the future shows for our viewers start posting that. And I have an amazing program I'll be launching in the new year, which is super exciting. So you'll see me on my social media and everything, start talking more about it very, very soon. And for you to actually get tuned in, I will post in the chat right now. I have an amazing Facebook group I would love to share right here. So you can catch it. I'm posting it right in the comments here. So come on in. It's called Reclaim Your Trust. It's for women. And, maybe in the future I'll create something for men. And I'm not trying to exclude you, but I feel like so passionate about helping women at this time. And so most of my clients are women. And it's really an opportunity to just step in and be seen, heard, and felt, and really rewire the brain around the places you felt such deep distrust in yourself, or if you've had curriculum in your life where you've had really hard life experiences or hard relationships and you're ready to rewire that deep curriculum. This is a really beautiful free group. I have great resources in there. I have some good meditations and some just great resources. So come on in, and we would love to have you, and we would love to just support you. And, it's a great community where women are feeling supported and loved. And yeah, we would love to have you.
Beautiful. Well, I guess I'd love to promote for anybody missing Trish. Can I share a screen? Do I have the ability to do that?
Yeah, go for it.
So anybody who, okay, share screen, open system press, I'm trying to.
Do you want me to spotlight you?
Well, I've got the poster of tomorrow's Straight Talk, but I'm trying to figure out a way to share it here. I'm not so familiar with StreamYard. If I send it to you on Messenger, maybe you can share it. So I'll send it to you on Messenger, because I know that some of you are missing our beloved Trish. And so she and I pre-recorded tomorrow's show.
Nice.
And of course, we do this show every week.
Do you have a link that you could put in the chat?
Yeah, I just sent you in Facebook Messenger the poster for tomorrow night's show. So maybe you can pull that up and show that, and pull the link in a moment. And it's, of course, every Friday night we do our Straight Talk show. And Straight Talk is where we kind of go deep, very similar to the Self-Love show, on different topics. And we've got a fascinating young man. He is a brilliant visionary who's had a really amazing life, named Lucien. And he is our guest tomorrow. So anybody who wants to join us, please do. And here is, I'm going to give you, I'll also put the link in the chat box of where people can join us. That's tomorrow night at 7:30 Pacific time. And I go back to comments.
Hopefully that posts. I just posted it. Oops. I don't know if that's going to work.
Anyway, just a thought. If you can, I don't know if you can share screen it or not.
Yeah, it's not letting me. I feel like I'm going to, yeah, it's not going to let me, but.
Anyway, you guys get the idea. Or you can go to my Facebook page and I'll post it up there as well.
I tried to post the link. Let me try again.
Cool. Yeah, and I put the link into the chat box too.
Okay.
So, and Shawnrey, I'm so sorry that at least we got a half hour with her. She's great.
She is great. I'm sorry that she wasn't able to finish, because I was excited for her to do a little sharing with us.
A practice of some form.
Yeah, but it's okay. Maybe we'll have her back on the show. She's wonderful.
Yeah, I was really impressed with her. Really impressed.
And then for those that are curious to know more about her work, we did post her links in the chat. So go back through the chat. If you're rewatching the show, they're all there. And, you know, our personal links also for our shows are also up. So we're so excited to continue the show and be on the show next week. And thank you for continuing to watch and tune in and learn about Shawnrey's beautiful work today. And thank you, Scott, for being here. You're always our muse, you know. Thank you for birthing this show into the world. It was such a gift, and we're so honored to do this and continue on after the pandemic and through it and all the things, and feel so blessed, really.
Work. I love you, Dawn. I'm so proud of you.
I love you too. Yeah, thank you. It's been such a fun show today. Let's do it again. Let's have a show together sometime.
I would like that. I would like that, and we'll do one on my end as well too.
Yeah. All right. Well, have a wonderful day. Keep tuning in, and again, go to the YouTube channel and please like, share, and subscribe. We would greatly appreciate that because we're just wanting to grow this message of self-love out into the world. And for those that need to tune in, please tune into Straight Talk. It's such a good show. It's on Friday evenings, and also the Global Peace Tribe. You know, a Saturday Night Alive is also an amazing, amazing program to catch on the weekends on Saturdays. So thank you for tuning in, and I hope you have a wonderful week.
Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you, Dawn.
Bye. Thank you, Scott.